have certain R haplogroups that are associated with Europeans that we have. Not only that, but we have you see African American with Southeast Asian DNA as well.
Right. So I was kind of leading to the same. First of all, I want to apologize for how I treated you a while back then, but I'm just
I apologize as well, bro. It's all good, bro.
All right, cause look, I was ignorant of the science shit, and now I've been studying it thanks to Miko. I've been looking into it more, and I'm starting to see, like for example, when you say African, I know from a genetic standpoint that has a different terminology according to the layman's term.
But it is African, yeah. A lot of people don't really get into that, but I get into that as well. Like, what truly is African? And if people are going off of different theories and hypotheses, especially the multi-regional hypothesis, then what truly is African?
Exactly. So when I've been studying this haplogroup thing for about a month now. I'm not as efficient. I mean, I'm not as knowledgeable as you when it comes down to it, but I'm getting quite a clear picture of what I'm looking at here. So when I asked you about the Q haplogroup, that was one of the parents of the Native Americans. And then when I seen A1, B1, C1, et cetera, and I know those was African types, then I noticed there was a correlation between the Native Americans, and I was like, okay, how can I put this together? Like, how can this be a parent of the Native Americans, but they was called what you call it a Amerindian? They was calling like an Amerindian.
Amerindian.
Yeah, Amerindian. They was calling it that, but it was still
the only thing that separates it, bro, is time. They believe time, but that's also based off of what they have found as well.
Right.
So that time frame can change based on what they have found, and our archaeological sites are lacking.
Right. So see, that's what it was for to bring me to. So I stumbled across some rejected archaeologists and also geneticists as well. And when I read their stories, such as Dr. what's his name? Dr. R. Dixon. He's an archaeologist. He used to be an archaeologist for the Smithsonian Museum, but they killed him and some most stuff when he brought out the proto-negroid. He said it was the proto-negroid that predated the basically like the mongoloid cranials that was here.
And it was good. Yeah, that's true, bro. That's why I always tell people. I've been saying that for a long time. They try to blame that. They try to blame that on us, but people in archaeology was actually saying this shit too when they was describing these skulls as negroid or australoid.
Yeah,
we weren't the first ones to say that.
See, I stumbled across a migration chart that showed the Native Americans as the fifth and the sixth migration over here. I didn't know they had actually had a migration here up to 70,000 years ago, and the first one was the Australoid. Then they said the Negroid. It started with an L, Falsum, something like that. Then it said the Algonquin migration. Then it said Eskimo migration. Then Mongoloid, and then they talking about the Zhang He migration, where the Chinese people don't know about that. The early century.
Zhang He, I heard about him too, bro. Yeah.
Yep. So then it started talking about, which is the other migration, where we talk about the slave migration, then the immigration migration up to the 18th century. They talked about all these migrations that led up to that point. But while I just
know, bro, that they exclude migration and admixture sometimes from these studies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been expressing this, but that's why I've been ostracized. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been bringing it up. They exclude migration. How can you exclude migration? And that's how people got across the globe. That makes zero sense to me.
See, that's my bad.
It's crazy. I don't know. Go ahead, bro.
See, that's why me and Opium, we switched the dynamic of saying America is only Negro type, because when you go way back, you could look at America as you could look at Africa. It was completely diversified. It had many different peoples of ancient time. We could call it according to what Opie call it, the hub of civilization, in a sense.
I can agree with that for sure.
Right. So to say, to me, I'm just saying this. To me, I cannot pinpoint a Negroid origin because the more stuff I find, like I'm finding stuff in Australia that predates Africa. I'm finding stuff in Europe that predates Africa. Like I'm finding stuff everywhere. Like when it comes down to
I
cranial.
can't disagree with that. Yeah, science definitely disagree with that. Depending on the phase that you're dealing with, you can definitely find different phases that are older than the phases that you find in Africa, for sure.
Yeah, so it's like I can't pinpoint the origin of anything because the more I research, the more stuff I find. Like when I go back into these old books, I'm finding more and more rejected uh, skeletal remains, but they not explaining why it's rejected. They just say, "Oh, this is rubbish," and don't even look into it, and they completely humiliate the archaeologists without even investigating the the fossils and things like that.
Always the Smithsonian's, like I have to admit that, like I can't dismiss that shit. Like they always popping up out of nowhere, bro. Like, and I just wish people, keep it honest as well, bro. They always popping up out of nowhere trying to discredit shit. Like, no matter if it's giants, in which a lot of different civilizations and a lot of different folklore, we all get into that across the globe. No matter if it's just dealing with us proving like simple ancestry, they always try to discredit certain things. So we have to pay attention to that as well. So that's what I've been bringing a spotlight to lately.
Right. So when you was talking to Port City the other day, Port City said something that was interesting to me. That Niger, what is it called? Niger Kudafonian? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Okay, so I've been investigating that Niger Kudafonian.
I be having trouble with that shit too, bro.
Yeah.
Quarterfordian or something like that.
Kudafonian. I think it's just my abundance. I can't say it right. But I've been looking into that, and it's relating back to the hunters and gatherers of that
ancient,
group.
Ancient people, yes.
Right. So when I look at the ancients, I'm looking at it's like two different pygmies. You got the Kusang people, but those are Asiatic types, but they still place them in there. And I look at it like when they call it Bantu. It's like they mixing cultures up together, like in a certain region, similar languages, etc., etc. So my question, I wanted to come up there and ask Port City that day, is that how do you have any relation to these people, and what DNA test that you took that said you are part of these ancient people, such as the Pygmies, the Kushan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why I wanted to ask him.
Well,
because he left the Nigerian stuff alone, and then he started promoting it.
Very complicated, like because we belong to some of the most ancient people. Like that's what throws a lot of this off. Like that's what I always got into it. That's what a lot of people started beefing with me with, because a lot of people were trying to stake claim to a lot of regions of the world, especially when their haplogroups weren't that old. And I was like, wait, our haplogroups are older, so we can actually stake claim to these certain regions, and you actually have to disprove how we haven't been here, and it's not solely due to certain events that we believe that happened within history.
Due to traveling and migration, our bloodline is found everywhere. That's one thing I know for sure. Like I found the bloodline in the Asiatic region. I found some of us in Africa. I found some of us in European. I'm talking about like before slavery. Like the bloodline was popping up everywhere. The skeletal remains was popping up everywhere.
Deal with the slavery, bro. I agree with that shit, because that should be pissing me me off at this point.
Yep. That's why I say, like, I know my fellow tribal men and people that goes against me. Now I'm on this path saying, like, people start looking into science, but don't look into what you call the surface. Start going in depth. Look at these rejected people. Even look at the people that's not rejected, because they even drop a little jewels here and there. They can't tell you the whole thing, because it's
Look
like
at
a
how they
game.
changed some of the haplogroups too, bro. I would suggest people look into that. How they change how they identify certain populations that will closely relate them to Africa or Asia as well. They have been doing a lot of that as well, because that's what I was saying earlier. Because that's what I've been expressing. Like, people are delusional. They try to make it seem like we were the first ones to come out with a lot of this information. Not to say that a lot of our people weren't already doing it, but you have people who are Eurocentric as well that was coming out with some of these ideals that, well, when you look at the Lucia skull, it looks more Negroid than it does Mongoloid. And the only thing that changed that was they took a DNA sample of Lucia and it came out as Amerindian. But when they did the cranial morphology and the dental morphology, it came out more closely to Negroid and Australoid.
See, that's what I was for the action when I was talking about the parent groups when it comes down to the Native Americans. I was gonna say, like, you could actually flip that to represent the Negroid too, because the Negro population was found in the Amerindians as well. Like, they could really play with
That's
that
true.
and they could really trick the masses to make them think, okay, this was a Mongoloid people, but
Yeah, it's the
there were
reference point.
Negroid
It's
people found in the
the reference
Mongoloid
point
population
you're
as
using,
well.
bro.
My bad.
Yeah, it's just the reference point. It's just a reference point, brother. So the reference point that they are using, it can help them support or not support any idea that they are bringing forth to the masses. So if their reference point is off, then the data and everything that they are bringing to us is off as well. Yeah. So yeah, they and that's what a lot of people don't want to get into. That could definitely be possible. We do have out of America. Now, what I always tell people, the only thing dealing with out of America is that they try to connect us from ancient and archaic to modern day. So if you can't make that direct correlation, that's the only reason why they only go off of out of Africa, because you have out of Europe dealing with the homini. You have out of Asia dealing with the anthropoids. You have out of America not solely just dealing with the mammals, but the oldest mammals on Earth, but also dealing with particular haplogroup searches, such as haplogroup C, in which they believe, our origins could come from America. So there's different things and there's different explanations, but you know they only, just to be honest, they only focus on certain things. Like, just to keep it 100, like, they only focus on certain things, and they only really try to bring clarity to certain things. And that's why I had to speak up on it, because I can realize that, just, through my studies, you know what I'm saying? Just studying more. That's why my opinion changed. That's why I don't be tripping on people for their opinions changing and everything like that, because the more you study, you gain a deeper understanding.
Look, and I forgot what I was finna say. It's the morning. Uh, shoot, what I was finna say? Dang, I forgot what I was finna. Oh yeah, now I know. Okay. One, I noticed. Yeah, they appeal to a certain audience, because for what I see, these others, like such as the whites, the pale Asiatic man, etc., they're trying to find themselves. They already know about us, because for what I understand, the deeper you dig, the more of us you find, like, everywhere. So I think
Yeah,
they trying to, huh?
that's for sure. They can't even cap on that. That's for sure.
So I
The
think,
only place that they don't find it is America, supposedly.
yeah, and that's what's real strange to me, because, like I said, I keep finding these rejected people, and they talk about the Negroid a lot in America, but when you get to these mainstream people that's in a scientific community, they tend to sway away from that a lot. Like, The
Yeah.
biggest dagger to me is the Caribs, right? There's so many newspaper articles, studies that show that the Negro population was in the Caribs pre-Columbian. Like there's so many skeletal remains, and there was some of them that was buried with or Indian apparel at certain burial sites. Not just
Yeah, I've seen a lot of sites. Yeah, Kenya brought me a lot of those sites, even with the UT site, but going back like 13,000 years, in
yeah.
which there was like it was African American, then there was like it was European American,
See
then
the
they
thing.
switched to Native American. So
See the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
I know
with that
about it.
European thing, it was a lot of Negroes coming out the European continent. Well, would you
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah. It was
well?
a lot of yeah, it was a lot of people with black genetics coming out of Europe. No matter where you think they came from the world.
So
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
so what it brought me to is this: like when I started telling people what type of Negroid person are you, like it really falls upon on that. Like you can't put an origin on phenotype. There's no patent on phenotype whatsoever. Africa do not
I,
own the Negroid patent. The phenotype.
I
European
agree
don't
with that, bro.
own the what kind of the narrow nose structure with the narrow cheekbones. They don't own that because there's a
Bro,
lot of
I'm gonna put you on real quick, bro. Have
yeah.
you ever thought about this? Where is the hottest place in Africa?
That's in Botswana, isn't it?
It's in Ethiopia, bro. It's in South Africa too, yeah. But it's also in Ethiopia. What kind of genotypes and phenotypes do they have?
Narrow noses, thin lips.
Exactly, bro. So
Yep.
why do they feel that there's a certain specific phenotype for people that's dealing with certain and specific climates? That's
Mm.
cap ass shit.
Yep. That what really did it for me. Like for example, where I stay at, I see a lot of women that's Negro. I'll say Negro. I don't like saying Negro, but Negroid that has
Yeah,
narrow noses and super thin lips with the narrow cheekbones. I see it a lot around where I'm at, and I'm like, okay, they cannot say the thick protruding lips, the wide cheekbones, the big nose with the low with the low forehead is a Negro phenotype because there's so many of us with different types that even have the European phenotype as well.
yeah, that's true. I 100% agree with that. They try to put a specific phenotype with black people, which is really that's not possible. It's not plausible, not at all. So when people try to go solely off of phenotype, especially to describe black people, that's really that's non-existent. That doesn't really exist in the world.
Yep.
Like like there's too many different examples in the world to actually try to really demonstrate that. You can't really demonstrate that.
All right. So that's why it took me to several different studies. Like, how can you really find a Negro population? That's why I'll be dealing with the skin pigmentation when it comes down to these old books, and now I start looking at the haplogroups. But to me, I don't know how y'all do it, cause now I see how they just it's like they throwing the haplogroups on anyone, and like you see the same one. Then we start talking about admixtures, and I'm like, okay, who did
See
you
what I
mix
was
with?
getting into earlier, bro?
Huh?
They've been getting into trying to rebuild the phylogenetic trees. That would destroy all that shit. I
Mm.
already expressed that to many people, natives. I expressed that to African Americans, Pan Africans, Black Indians, Black natives. Like I express this to everyone. But they try to villainize me now, but I've been getting into this information. You really can't do stuff like that. Like that's not how it really works, you know what I'm saying? But
See, late.
people go ahead, brother.
My bad. I wanted to hop on your panel a couple of days ago. I wanted to tell you something too. See, look, my haplogroup is E1B1A1 B something to end with a D at the end
Did
too.
you know that E was Asian and African?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. Now check this out. My father did a DNA test. Tell me why he'll start with a D in the front It said D2, D1, D something something, and my mom was J1, and it's J something. My mother and my father, but I was trying to figure out how the hell my father is a D, how the hell my mom is a J, and how the hell I ended up with an E in the beginning of mine. It didn't make sense to me. I could send it to you.
Damn, that is crazy. Damn, D and a J?
Yeah, I was studying that the J is the European, the D is the American, but I ended up with an E. I went to what's the name of that shit? RNDNA. I'm gonna have to look at it again, but I'm gonna send it to you. But they showed my father's, my mom's, and me, and we all had different types. She was a J1. My father's was a D1 or D2, one of them like that. And they both Negroid. My mom, like when it get to the like sixth generation, my people start to get yellowish, like on two lines on my mother's side, but on my dad's side, everybody dark as fuck. Everybody, even up to the sixth generation. Well, as far as they took photos and shit like that. Some of them came out of Pacific Islands. Some came from Europe, and some you can't find the rest of that shit.
That's very intriguing, bro.
Yeah, when you get time, give me your email and I'll send it to you. Like it's my mother and father side, their haplogroups. What it starts with.
It's Vanta Black at yahoo.com.
All right.
Vanta and then Black BLAC at yahoo.com.
All right. But yeah, it was.
Mom is you. Oh shit! God damn! When I hear that you, I be like, damn, that's crazy. Yeah, it's a lot of these haplogroups I be seeing like that they be saying that's a low percentile, but it be a lot of people I be seeing that be having these haplogroups sometimes. I'm like, how is it a low percentage when I be seeing this shit like all the time? Like when a lot of us have L3, that should really be questioned. Like because, and I don't understand how people don't understand that. When we're dealing with the out of Africa migrations and shit like that, and it's like you're dealing with these L3 haplogroups, it's like, how do you not understand like the expansion that happened within and outside of Africa? I'm just getting into it scientifically, not really getting into anything else, just getting into the science solely. Because I understand other aspects outside of the science as well. But just getting into the science solely. How do you not comprehend that L3 is not solely restricted to Africa? It's not solely restricted to Africa. You don't find L3 just solely in Africa, so how do they automatically decide that the L3 haplogroups that we have within us is dealing with Africa?
See, look, right here. You see it right there?
Oh, okay. Yep, I see it.
That's my mother's side, J1.
Oh, shit.
And she's Negro. I can show you a picture of my mother right now. She darker than me, man. And here's my
I don't disagree that there were a lot of people say African. I just say black people in Europe.
No, really, I be trying to break that social barrier with that. Like, just because you're European don't mean you're white, yellow, and all this stuff. Like, I look at it just like how they call us Americans today. Race, to me, that's not even a biological thing. It's just a category to me. Like,
oh yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
And here's my
ain't no such thing as race. So how are they really separating us? A lot of people have to look into that to actually really understand that. Oh shit! Wait, hold on. You got DE?
Yeah, that's my father's.
Oh shit!
That's my father's side.
Whoo, DE, bro. DE deals with the out of Africa migration, right? So how you know where they landed, where they from?
Yep, I seen that D was American and I see E was the African, and I was like, that had confused me.
Well, they say D is Asian and E is African.
All right, so look, check this out. Now this is me.
Hold on for 1 second, real quick, bro.
Dang, I can't find it. Where's that? I think this is it. Yep, and this is mine.
You know he ain't going nowhere and get off his fucking ass.
My bad, I'm back, y'all.
Right. So this is mine right here. Now it says my paternal lineage is E1B1. I guess it's mine altogether with a mixture of me. With E1B1 A1 A1, you know, and it
Oh shit! I was just getting to that haplogroup earlier.
Yeah, then it ends with D1, and I see my wife's hers ended with C1 at the end of hers. So I don't know. Like the shit was like weird. I know a long time ago. I know E1B1A. They say it was an African haplogroup type shit. And I started looking into it more. I started seeing different shit in it. But I wonder what you got to say about this one.
Well, just to be honest, what a lot of people won't say is that that haplogroup is found in Africa and is found in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, a lot of people won't get into that. And like Africa and America is like the less studied. So we have to, study more to actually understand like where this is truly coming from. But this isn't solely just found in Africa. Like people have to understand that as well. Like this haplogroup isn't solely just found in Africa. And I know a lot of people want to make people be making fun and everything, but like we have to keep it 100. Like just coming from my studies, I don't know what other studying everybody else is doing. Just coming from my study, I understand that this isn't just solely a African haplogroup. So we have to understand that.
All right, so that's why I was lead to, because I did see something else dealing with the E1B1A. Like that's why I was trying to make my studies broad on this matter. Now, what I seen with the D1, hold up, I'm gonna bring this up real quick.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand. E is found in Africa, but it's found in Asia as well. Don't get that misunderstood. Please understand that. It's not solely just found in Africa. And if you don't understand that, please do more studying. E haplogroup is not solely found in Africa.
Now check this out. Now this is a chart dealing with my haplogroup, right? And where you see where it's bigger at, they say that's mostly where most of my genetics is, right there in that center up there. Right? So I'm going to show you exactly what that is.
Oh, he said very low frequencies. Explain what frequency is. Very low frequency. You explain what that is. You can say something, but explain what frequency is.
Hey, where is it? I just put it up.
No one is misleading anyone. The only people misleading people is who don't really want to get into the information. So now people want to get into misleading when we get into different things. Like, that's what I be talking about.
Okay, that one I showed you way at the top, the one that had the most, the bars that was big, it said, hold on, I'm trying to get it out the way. It said add mixed Americans at the top. The one that had the most in there. And then when I show you my other one, it says about 79% Caribbean. And that's when I was looking into the old skeletal remains in the Caribbean. I know Africans got there too. I'm not denying if I had that, because just this for one. Like, I talked to this woman named Dr. Fowl too, and she was talking about how the Moors was all over the world, right? And a lot of them came out of Africa. A lot of them intermingled with a lot of people. So I said, I'm not going to deny that DNA, all specifically because my Moorish side, I know that's there for one. But the thing is, as a majority of mine, for what I see, like when you go to these other companies and you start investigating haplogroups and shit like that, I see I got more American, more Asiatic than anything within me. That's just me alone. I'm not trying to talk about the next person or either other. Oh, he on pause. But just telling the audience.
I hear you, bro.
I'm saying I got more. I'm just talking about me exclusively. I'm not speaking about anybody else. That's you. That's your bloodline. That's who you are. But I'm just saying I got more Asiatic than anything in me. And I know the Moors is getting on down. I know some of them came out of Africa. I know some of them came out of Arabia. Some came out of Tartaria. I don't know. But that's just what I see for just exclusively me, my mother, and my father.
So, what I like to disclose is because a lot of people try to give me a hard time. But one thing I know about a couple things is that people who try to give me a hard time, they will never come up here and actually join alive. So I give respect to you, Lord Natural, because you actually came up here. But a lot of people, they run their mouths. And I've been getting into multiple studies that's been getting into this and disseminating a lot of this information. But we are dealing with studies now that you have, let me just read this, for example. Beyond biology, scientists in universe, a universal missing law of evolution. So we're getting into how they don't have everything figured out. And I even disclose how they have been trying to disseminate against ancient DNA versus modern DNA. They don't have a total algorithm that can really point that out at this point in time. But yet we have people on here that come on here that try to talk about science and they misrepresent it. So that's what I get into. Now, people can get into their feelings if they want to, but you cannot. You can't do that, bro. U haplogroup was formulated in North Africa, Europe, as well. But they believe it formulated in North Africa mainly. But it's a rare haplogroup that you find within African Americans. But I found people on this app that have it, which is strange. If it's that rare, why am I finding people with these haplogroups randomly on the internet? We have to ask ourselves these questions.
Hey, can I say something to Hotel real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Hotel, instead of coming, how about you come up here and just say the stuff to my face, and we could chop it up back and forth on my studies on DNA, and I could show you how the ancestry results is dealing with relation, how your genetics is related, but they're not saying that you are, if you get what I mean. A lot of us got similar relations to everyone else when it comes down to the genetic standpoint, but it doesn't mean that's what you are. I actually talked to somebody from Ancestry.com. I actually talked to a real geneticist that goes over this stuff. But one thing for sure, when you come up here, we're gonna talk about how they come up with these results, how many SNPs does it takes for you to be an African, for one. And another is, what is the what's it called, allele, and how do they determine that you're an African based off this? Matter of fact, how do they even determine that you're a Negroid from a genetic standpoint? So once we do that, we're gonna wrap it all up, and I want you to tell me, based on them results, how am I an African, or how can you put a origin on where I come from?
Well, they're trying to make fun of things.
No, that's just what I want him to.
With that, because they don't have a complete understanding, because they're not going to come up here. But what the issue is once again, what he's saying is, when it comes to cranial morphology and dental morphology, it is okay for them to make separations when we're dealing with modern people. But when we get into more ancient people, there lies the issue. People don't want to solely go off of that. But I don't think there should be a separation from modern and ancient people. Like, so if you're not willing to fully say, you know, this is where these people come from, dealing with the dental and cranial morphology, dealing with modern people, you cannot do the same thing with ancient people. You understand that? So that's what a lot of people don't really understand. So they try to uphold these sciences, you know, dealing with more modern people, but when you get into the ancient science, it's not that easy. It's you can't really resolve a lot of these situations with just using one science. And a lot of people don't want to get into that, and it's just a simple fact. That's just a simple fact. Like, once again, let me bring up the example. When you look at Native Americans, they say they have Negroid or Australoid features, some of the oldest ones, dealing with Lego Santa, not Lucia in specific. But when you look at the genetic information, which is separate from cranial morphology and dental morphology, they say they Amerindian. So why do we have such a large discrepancy when we're looking at dental morphology and cranial morphology, and which you cannot exclude because they still use anatomy to differ archaic humans from modern humans. So you cannot just totally throw away that science because they still utilize it.
Right.
So then you have to explain, why are they making these differences now, and why are they trying to ostracize and discredit people when they are using these differences to explain modern humans.
Hey, let me say one more thing to Hotep. Hotep, for one, you said your DNA test reflected the people where your relatives was, like such as Canada, Trinidad, etc., etc. Okay, check this out. Why do they ask you to do your genealogy at the same time on these DNA companies? You don't think your genealogy is a reflection of your DNA test? You don't think that they look at it and draw a map out? Because
genealogy is actually better than doing DNA. Like, we just have to keep it 100. I've been saying that for a long time. If you can honestly do your genealogy, it's better than doing DNA tests, point blank, period.
Now, the thing I'm trying to say, Hotep, is this. The reason you believe your DNA test is because it's based off your genealogy. They look at your genealogy as well, and they take that into consideration to draw up your DNA test. It was nothing geological. It's nothing biological behind that. They were just adding an extra percentage and say, hey, you got relatives this way, and then boom, you got a freaking some type of record or something in that country specifically to show that, hey, you got a relative over there. They look at that first before they do their DNA test, just to make it more appealing. Like I talked to one of the people of Ancestry.com. They do this stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not being 100% genuine with you about how they draw up these tests. That's why I asked you, how many SNPs does it take for you to be 100% African when they draw up these tests?
Yeah, and then a lot of people don't even analyze what is African. What is African? When you're dealing with the most ancient people of the world, what truly is African? Now, other people are able to get into other theories and different thoughts and stuff like that, but what truly is African? That's what I ask people, and I want people to research that. I don't want to give them any clues or anything, but if anyone has the answer, you can put it in, and I would disagree or agree. But if you know what the answer is, what is African? Well, and give me a clear answer.
Well, according to Dr. Fautu, she told me that Africa is simply is. Well, I'm gonna just tell you in a vague sense. that Africa, in a sense, is just a representation of you having ancient, like an ancient DNA or ancient genetics or something like that. And that,
Oh man, woo! You hit it on the head.
it's not necessarily saying
Ancient DNA. That's 100% correct.
So
We have the most ancient DNA.
So for what I'm saying is like they're not. I'm just saying from a geneticist world, they're not saying that you are, but they saying like you have ancient DNA. That's all it simply is. It's not putting a region on you or nothing like that. Like you cannot do a cross reference between something geological and biological. It's two different elements. They're just saying you have ancient DNA. Simply, that's it.
Yeah, they can't put a region on it as well because they haven't found everything. And two, when I was getting into earlier with certain haplogroups, they are finding certain haplogroups and haplotypes have different mutational steps as well, which shows a difference in which people cannot explain. So why is there a difference in the mutational steps? And where do they derive from?
Hey, question.
So that's what I'd be asking people because a lot of people be acting like they have a lot of answers, but they really don't.
Question. Okay, that mutation thing, I'm still having trouble with that. Mutation, that's coming from them mixing with other people, or does that take place, or does that happen because of the certain foods that you eat, or something like that? Like how
It's a
does
combination of everything, bro.
Okay.
It comes from your diet, UV radiation, or how much you in the sun, basically taking in the sun rays. It gets into migration and also us hybridizing with other species as well.
So
We came out as basically black, humans. We were black humans before anything else was around besides Neanderthals and Denisovans. So when we left out of Africa, we admixed with them, creating these other people that we see today.
So, like, for example, right? Let's just say I get me and my family, and we move to, let's say, Cambodia.
That's real.
So you're telling me 200 years from now, their genetics is going to change based off the food that they're eating there, and well, of course they're going to intermingle with the people that's there, for one. So all that stuff is going to change just based off that move.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, right? The only thing is in which they, science has to, 100% solidify is there were different species and shit around, like when we migrated out of Africa. So that's what gives us a lot of us, the diversity in which we see in humans. That's where we get the diversity because when us as black people we left out of Africa, or no matter where you believe it started from, we intermingled with other people, and that's how other people came about. You see what I'm saying? Like other people wouldn't even came about if we didn't intermix or hybridize with other species. So a lot of that diversity actually comes from what's good, peace. A lot of that diversity actually comes from us actually intermingling with other species. So nowadays, we couldn't get that much diversity because we don't have another species to intermingle with.
Hey, so have you thought about this other perspective? Like, for example, all right, you got the Negro, right? So what if, like, for example, from another continent, right? Let's just say a continent that's, what I'm saying, that's underwater or some shit like that. Let's just say hypothetically something like that happened. Let's just say there was a Negro population there, and there was another Negro population there, and there was another Negro population there, and they literally not related to one another. They have their own origins. They just came from elsewhere or some shit like that. And let's just say that all these different type of Negro population met up and intermingled at a point too, instead of just say one place, one origin, one people.
Yeah, that's the multi-regional hypothesis. I don't got no issue with that. Like, I tell people all the time because I see a lot of people represent the multi-regional hypothesis. That's what I got into with a lot of people about. Not solely because I don't want people, thinking and believing in what they want to. That's not what I got into people about. But I was letting people know like what the implications were, especially when we're getting into how, like people are conversing on TikTok. So the multi-regional hypothesis, when you're dealing with um, like different phenotypes and stuff like that, you can't say that a certain phenotype only originated in Africa or a certain look only originated in Africa and a certain people only originated Africa because they believe that people basically evolved in different regions coming from the Homo erectus. Now, contrast to that of Africa, they believe that people just evolved out of Africa. Now, the issue is that a lot of people use the multi-regional hypothesis, but they try to exclude black and brown people, mainly us. And that's what I tell people, you cannot do that when we have some of the oldest haplogroups. So that's what a lot of people were getting mad at because I was confronting them on that. I'm like, you can't go with a multi-regional hypothesis when you have some of the youngest haplogroups. That's not plausible. You wouldn't be the first people in certain regions because you find these haplogroups in every region before your young haplogroup was in that region. You find evidence of people basically peopling certain regions of the world before the haplogroups ever even existed. So that's why a lot of people had beef with me because I was bringing it up. Now, you can find people occupying certain parts of the world before your haplogroup existed. How can you say you are the first?
Yep. That brings me back to when I was talking about the Q haplogroup. They according to Google, right? Like I say, I don't know everything on it. Maybe you can shed more light on it. According to the Google, they say give or take, you can give up to 31,000, up to 40,000 years to the age of the Q haplogroup, right? So when I was looking into this book dealing with archaeology, this guy named Dr. Hubble, I think that's how you say it. He found a stone tool in California, and also he found a stone tool with this other guy named Leonard or some shit like that in Florida that predated them. The stone tool was dated to be up to 100,000 years, up to just an estimation, and the one in California was dated up to be up to 90,000, up to 110 years.
Yeah, they got a couple sites. Yeah, they got the one in California. They got the Huey Lecto site. They go back to, well, they still debate one another. That's why I always tell people it's okay for us to debate because they still debate each other.
Now,
Because they believe that this site can be anywhere from 50,000 to 250,000 years old. The Huey Lecto site found in Mexico as well. So yeah, there's different sites, ranging in different time periods, and yeah, just like you bringing up, during those time periods, their haplogroups weren't in existence. So
exactly. And you will have to
you can't automatically try to stay claim to them sites. That's what happened with me. I had that debate with them, and I was telling them, y'all can't automatically stay claim to these sites when y'all haplogroups are not that old, and y'all and that they don't have any proof that it's a direct, descendant or someone that's connected to you. You can't stay claim to that site, and a lot of people had an issue with that.
And you will have to deduct at least 16,000 years because you gotta add at least the time frame, I guess, from the Gregorian standpoint, that when they got here, their arrival. So you gotta at least deduct 16,000 years even from that haplogroup to try to even see that you even have some type of connections to these sites. So that just brought me to the question. That just really brought me to the answer. Like, nothing, the natives couldn't be, even down to South America, which I gave them up to 40,000 years, which was the HLA. I forgot what name. I forgot that haplogroup.
That is That's the blood group with the HLA 35. Well, not asterisk, but it's one of those. It's dealing with HLA though.
Yeah. So I was like, even when it comes down to the rare diseases, I was studying the rare diseases and see how is there's a correlation between the Chinese people and the Navajo and the Apache, and I forgot the name of the disease, but it's the ones where these keloids grow all over your body, and it's, I don't know. Native Americans can get it, Chinese people can get it, and Siberians can get it, which show that hey, y'all people wasn't originally over here. If y'all can get these rare diseases like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not one of those um like you was born with it, like you coming out the body with keloids. No, this is something that grows on your body over time. You get what I mean? But what I'm saying is they couldn't be due to these notions. They couldn't be the original people of this land. So it had to be in a different type of migration way before these people had came here, or something else had took place. But the natives couldn't possibly be the original people of this land. It had to be more of an Australoid Negroid descent.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, and that's why people give me so much smoke now, because I bring that up. I'm just like, just due to more, doing to more studying, they believe people that more resemble, actually is the Angi people of the Senegalese and Andamanese Islands. That's who they are more closely related to, point blank, period. And people that directly descend from them, which is the Wabian people, which is funny, they call people Wabos, but you have the Wabian people that descended from the Angi people that are more closely related to people of South America. No, then that's what they don't get into, the people of the Andamanese Islands. Like, that's just what it is. Like, people can get into their feelings about it, but that's just what it is. That's who they are more closely related to, like, especially people in South America dealing with population Y. The only thing is that they're trying to find the full skeletal remains that show complete Australasian descent. They find Australasian descent in certain populations. Even 10,400 years ago, they find Australasian descent within South Americans.
All right. So what you think about the pygmies that was discovered in Kentucky and Tennessee? If you had stumbled across that.
Well, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that yet.
All right. When you do, let me know, because there was a burial ground where it was pygmies that was found in Tennessee. I forgot the age or how old these skeletal remains was, but you do your studies. If you do come across it, let me know what you think of that. I do got the information on it. You can't put I just want to tell Seven, you cannot put an origin on the pygmies, because the pygmies was found everywhere too.
Yeah, that's another thing. But a lot of people don't get into. They believe that the out of Africa people were L3, but if you ever realize, they say that people descend from the Khoisan people. They're not L3 people. So how can we say that the out of Africa people are L3 when we have people descending from people of LO? Like a lot of that's why I tell people, like, I don't get into all the TikTok shit, because people just be saying things all the time and don't really have a complete understanding. Like, you can't bring up L3 and not bring up the Khoisan people, in which they even believe that Native Americans directly descend from, but they say that L3 is supposed to be responsible for all of the out of Africa people and all the out of Africa migrations. So we have to get into these things fully and try to get a complete understanding.
And like me, they wasn't Cherokee children. They already, in the article itself, they debunked it, because it talks about how full grown their teeth was. It talked about the different sets of teeth that already came into place. Like what they say, they like, you got like 2 rows of teeth before to knock out your new ones or something like that. Like they was on the final row. So these people were full grown people. So I mean, you need to go do some intensive research on that, because I don't think you researched that thoroughly. Just saying, those was not children. Those was grown people.
And I always tell people like, well, even with Bobby, we don't got no issue. But if anybody disagree with anything I'm saying, you can always come up here because I see people always take these stances on race doesn't exist, but they only come after us when we get into race. When a lot of other people are continuously enforcing what race is. Like we have to understand that. Like people try to villainize us for fitting into these parameters of race when we're not the only ones enforcing these things that really don't exist. And which, you have to also think like if race doesn't exist, how is people truly trying to pinpoint where people are from? You know what I'm saying? How can people truly pinpoint that like we can get into variations, structural variations and all these, all these little cute shit. But like, what is your perspective though? What is your perspective on how they can say, oh, you're this and you're that. This is where you come from and this is where you solely come from and you can't come from anywhere else. That's all I ask people because, I know people, like I said, it's not personal, but when people try to say that we, especially African Americans and Black people, are so focused on race, like I think people need to really, truly think about that. This is not something that we, wanted to truly think about, but we have to think about, out of necessity, out of, stepping into our own and, being our own people. Like we have to get into this shit because everybody already getting into it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see any issue with that, especially if people are constantly fitting themselves into these social constructs that really don't exist biologically.
Mm-hmm. All right. To the commenters, like again, if you disagree, please come up and share your expertise in this dialogue. Because even Vanta is teaching me some things that I'm struggling with when it comes down to this research dealing with haplogroups, genetics, and things like that. But if you can shed light on some things that is not surface level, the first thing you see on fucking Google, then can y'all come up and shed light, and maybe you could teach me something on this matter. But if you just one of those people that just saying anything, like most of y'all in the comment section, then I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm just being upfront with you. But can y'all come up here and shed some light?
Yeah, that's why I always come from. It's like I don't act like I'm better than people and shit like that, but it's just like I just want people to actually prove me wrong on the standpoints that I've been providing. I don't really want like people conversing in the comments or anything like that. Just prove me wrong on the standpoints. Like a lot of people should already know I don't really have a lot of issues. I don't have issues with anyone. Even when people see me beefing and yelling at people and shit like that, I don't have an issue with people like personally, bro. Like I said, like myself, like I had my own growth on, understanding certain information. Like I don't hold grudges on people or no shit like that. I'm just going off of the information, bro. Like it ain't never nothing personal or anything like that. It's just about the information, and I hope people understand that. Like me personally, I'm not going to despise you. I'm not going to hate you or anything like that on the information that you are supporting. But please just allow me to support the information that I am supporting, and I'm coming from a different stance than other people are coming from, and that's really about it.
Hey, that's one reason I ain't disagree with nothing you was up here saying, because what it look like me coming up here disagreeing with things, what you're saying with this topic, when I just admitted to you that I don't know too much on it, and I'm on my own path of researching this myself. So like it'd be foolish of me to even come up here to even reject what you're saying when I came across some of the same stuff already.
I appreciate that, and that's all I was saying. I'm just like, I just wish people would like just agree to like there's things out there that are questionable. Like it's okay to question the things, and I don't feel like why is our community the only one that's being so criticized for questioning certain things, history, science, when you have people across the globe questioning these things, from Israel, from Africa. It doesn't really matter. And I don't understand why we the only ones that get questioned about a lot of this shit, bro. What's good?
Shit, I just want to tell y'all ain't doing shit wrong. Y'all just learning, but at the same time, it's gonna be hard for a lot of people who identify as black to understand that everybody's not the same. That phenotype shit, that shit is just an experiment. The one thing that I can give y'all something to go off of, and if you start to push this out, just actually keep the connections together. Phenotyping is nothing but biological racism. The people who invented this shit, y'all must think, while these motherfuckers was inventing taxes to call people colors, they wasn't going by the shit themselves. That's the matrix. That whole concept of knowing that somebody gives you an identity. And when you was being created, God never told you to come down here and be of a phenotype. He never told you had to join a race. He never told you had to be of a political party. It's just those concepts right there. Like, I don't have an issue with nobody on here. It's just the fact that I take where I'm from very seriously, and I can apologize to my man above me, because a few times I probably came across on him wrong. And it's not even that I was trying to. It's just that we don't want the parasite that destroyed nationalities at the beginning of time to return back to, you know what I'm saying, where the strong points are. But at the same time, I would love to see every melanated person know their section at the same time. That's the only way you're going to beat racism. Racism is an educational cowardism, meaning that every department they have, the infrastructure of America was built around you, meaning both, I'm going to use myself, both sets of my elders learned to be a new Americans, God's, education, and holidays. Knowing this shit alone, that means I'm not supposed to be out here trying to be accepted by shit. God sent me to study man, not to be of my flesh. This is why I say race is a parasite. Any person that try to get you into race is like trying to get you to join a cult. And to me, those are the coons and stuff like that. Because as soon as you get your own freedom to live life and question shit, like my man was saying, here come the slaves trying to say, massa, or they the masses now saying, if I tell you that you black, then you gotta be black. That's how racism started.
Yeah, but also, bro, it also started because people want to discourage people of darkened complexion from actually being able to do the same things that people of a lighter complexion, and actually giving them credence for what they have, actually done throughout history. So, at the same time, like, we already understand that as melanated people, but it's people that are not, coming from the same life, same color as us, that try to disrespect our accomplishments just because of our complexion and our phenotype.
That's the name of the game. You keep living by their structured standards. And as long as you keep waking up and somebody gets to tell you what to do, you don't really have much to say. You can't do shit. Until people start seeing it like that, until you can actually go out here in this life and self-govern, meaning when somebody walks up to you and just starts talking to you like they know you black, and you don't logically question them, like, why did you approach me like a racist or prejudice? You stuck under that. Because let me give you an example of what I mean. Without racism even being thought of, you wouldn't be in none of this mess.
Yeah, that's true. Because without racism, people would understand that people had many capabilities and were able to accomplish a lot of things before, we just solely tried to attribute that to just one race of people.
Exactly. And this is what's going to make racism even more scared. If each melanin person knew that they have a study on us, like they have a true study, it's called the Trios Commission of North American Aboriginals or African Americans, and they even have us labeled into 4 different types of melanin people. They even know we not the same. And the only way that you can take over this, if each person knew that there's 4 different type of us. Within those 4 different types of group, we're mixed 4 to 3 different times. It don't fucking matter what you mix with. It only matters if you find out and you learn those identities, because your body's not going to ever feel comfortable in this life unless you know yourself like that. That's the only thing knowledge is made for. Knowledge is not made for you to wear it like a uniform. It's made for you to just put it in your hall and nose. And y'all brothers are doing good. Why y'all think y'all haven't seen me on none of y'all shit a long time? Because like my man, I started out with Lord Natural. Me and him cool. I don't give a fuck if he had to yell at me before. I still don't got nothing against this man. I'll share pictures where he looks like my native Adam. Like this man above me and my cousin looks identical. So it doesn't even knock me to think that he got some NUI in him more than likely. But where the rest of him come from, I don't know. Because even out in Oklahoma, they know us mixed natives, we don't play around with this shit a lot. That's why a lot of people don't come to our section when we talk about it. Would it be good to see Lord Natural and I like connect on a bigger thing together? Yes, it would. That's the whole mission of coming out here, to let every person know it's okay to be individuals. Once you find out who you are individually, we'll have so many languages, we'll have so many different type of academias to put together. It'll be so out of control that white supremacy wouldn't know what to do with us, because you can't control that group of people anymore.
Yeah, bro, but we get so much pushback from people of a lighter complexion sometimes. That's on the issue. Like,
you got to be like that. Fuck them.
Yeah, I understand.
They play for society. So America has created super sleeper cells. That's what people of race are. They're sleeper cells. People who fight amongst each other, but let the TV turn on and say something like, we are being attacked. You will see these two people allegiance right together.
You're right,
yeah.
Bro. You're right.
Yeah, I don't have no disagreements, bro. You know, I fuck with you, bro.
No, so all I want to do is help. When it comes to this knowledge, listen, we got so many beautiful people that y'all can talk about and stuff, even in our own different ways, like Pompeii factors and shit like that. So it's when it comes to, it's the inland natives and coastal natives. We would be considered, I would call most people who want to get right, I'll consider y'all family somewhat coastal natives. That means all our history do with the coast. The inland natives, that means from Mexico, like inwardland Mexico, all the way up through Canada. That shit has nothing to do with us. That's it. That's all I want y'all to know. Once you focus more on the coastals and the people and the islands and stuff like that, like you will get out of that conversation of having to like getting attacked. Because once you step into the lineages that I'm giving you and stuff like that in your own fashion, you will get people you will get people seen for what they're trying to do, which is come and question you about why you looking at certain stuff. They come and you will look at the people and look at them like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's what happened to me, bro. You know, I was never on no weird ass shit, but motherfuckers just started attacking me, even though I was always coming from a perspective where I feel like all of our ancestors were, you know, more, you know, technologically advanced. They were more educated just in different aspects of life than what they try to put out today. Not trying to disrespect anyone else, you know, but not trying to discredit ourselves or other people as well.
Shit, like, this is the only thing I ask. I done seen most of the shit I was posted float on to TikTok, and now the chief on TikTok from Oklahoma, they got people tagging him on my ass and shit like that. They can't do shit with us. The best thing I can say you to do is run crazy with the five civilized in a manner of looking up their greatest privates, looking up the men who fought alongside the Muskegee men, because black men even knew they was fighting alongside mixed men that was not even of the same creation of them, but they was brothers due to God at the end of the day. Like, I want to see y'all get so highly advanced in intelligence is the fact that when people come and try to wear it as an identity, you can shut them down because you're not wearing it as that. You're putting it in your Hall of Notes. Like, I do want to see great things from you all who keep studying. So the only reason I got on here was to say that and to let Lord Natural know, bro, keep going at the end of the day. Anything I've ever said, it wasn't to misdirect you. It was to get you to this point that you're at now, to where you can see. Once you start actually looking at it and you come out of picking sides with people, both sides going to attack you. Now you really digging into some shit, and I salute that.
Hey, I wanted to say this hey, I appreciate that, Bobby. You're right, too. But I want to say that to Hotep. You said, Vanta, don't forget when these same pretendians used to block you out their lives. Look, you see, I'm from a different part of life, Bobby from a part of life, and Vanta's from a part of life. We all used to say little things here, little shots here and there, and you see we all up on the panel just getting along. Why are you trying to resurface evil?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, plus too, you know, being a responsible adult, you know, y'all always got to take accountability for what you was doing as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't have no issue with that. Like, people blocking me sometimes, I'm just going hard for no reason. Like, they got the right to do so. Like, I ain't tripping on that. But, like, we just moving forward, you know what I'm saying?
The whole point is progressing. Like,
Facts.
I say eventually we all gonna reach the same circle. It's just like while as we go into that circle, like we all gonna bump heads. That's just how it is. That's just nature how it is. But like y'all can't sit up there and try to resurface evil. When I say when I say I'm leaving 2023 and all those people behind, I meant that. I'm leaving all this stuff behind. I say it don't matter if you change up or whatever or not. If you coming up here with wonderful information, I'm learning this stuff from you. I don't care about all that stuff you said. Now, if you said some real foul stuff, then yeah, I'm not gonna link up with you. But other than that, I don't have no problem here. Like Pan Africans, I ain't gonna lie. Pan Africans pull up on me and talk about, oh, now you looking at DNA, now you looking at this. I say, okay, and I used to be a Hebrew Israelite. My mind changed on that too.
I mean, I got a question. If motherfuckers know that people are mixed, especially melanin, with 3 to 4 different nationalities inside of them, it would be right for you to start finding yourself and know that you got 3 to 4 different people in you so you can learn them and balance them out. That whole type of statement don't make sense to me when people like one day you this, one day you that. That's what it means to be mixed. That means God granted you to be able to embody like 4 different types of people, and you should be able to learn 4 different types of languages, feel 4 different types of way. I think it's a great intelligence in life. These are the people who don't know themselves. For people who want to discourage these men from actually being in a piece of what knowledge is, meaning they're just searching, looking, questioning. They're not claiming it as an identity. Then you're a butt wipe. Like you're lame your damn self. I don't want to say nothing horrible to get us knocked off of here, but you're the problem. You need these 2 people to join your race. You need these 2 people to join your toxicity. You need these 2 people to join your fight. God don't want them to join your fight because God didn't ask them to be skinwalkers. The melanation on their skin can be extracted. That means melanation is not you. Being black is not something that comes from being melanin. That means y'all are the coons in the field. That means y'all are the slave masters. That when somebody gets an individual mind like God intended them to, you're trying to pull a slave master trick like, you gotta be black if I'm black. That's what happened in slavery. So leave the 2 men alone. They just rocking.
Yeah, everybody ain't black. We all ain't the same. People just gotta come to that.
That's
like,
why I said,
people
which
just gotta
Negro
realize that
person are you?
I mean, I wonder why they don't have this heat. I wonder why they don't have this heat for the free black people who was walking around not giving a fuck about the people who was in slavery. Like, I wonder how past education are people going to get to accept the truth, because every person was not a slave. You had free black, had free melanin people going back and forth from Africa and Sierra Leone to Spain while watching people in the fields be slaves. Why aren't y'all mad at them?
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, that's facts.
Hey, I'm gonna hop down, bro. Y'all keep on doing it because y'all stop wearing information as an identity and you started writing on your Hall of Notes. So I salute both of y'all to that.
Yeah, I salute you, bro. I fuck with you. We done had our discussions and shit, but it's just discussions in a live, bro. But
I mean, y'all stood on 10 toes. The only thing I wanted to see if y'all was really reading and doing what y'all doing now. This is where the actual facts come from. Y'all not just reading shit and saying, okay, it's this one way. I start to see that y'all looking at into the scientists, who the fucking scientist's name is. That helps you out a lot. So that's real research.
Yeah.
Right on, bro.
Oh yeah, I want to piggyback on what you said, Bobby, about finding out who you are. And again, I'm going to say shout out to Opium because, like I said, look, y'all, 20 generations back, that's 1 million people alone. That's why I keep asking you, who are you? Who are your people? What do you choose? And can you prove that's you? That's all I be saying. And people get mad when I say that. When I say, hey, I got European, I got Pacific Islander, I got this, and I got that. But I choose to do this because this is my bloodline. I could choose to be this one day. I could choose to be that one day. I could choose to be another thing another day because that's in my bloodline. A lot of y'all, I'm be telling y'all, please figure out who you are, learn who you are, and don't be ashamed of who you are.
But
that's all I be saying.
I wanted to piggyback off of Bobby. I was asking that question yesterday on my live. I was like, so y'all telling me that they brought Africans over here and just let them wander around freely up north when we know that slavery only happened in the South? Slavery didn't happen everywhere. What sense does that make? I'm going to capture these Africans, make them slaves, but have them running around free in the North, and then capturing them later in life and then bringing them down to the South. It don't make sense. So who was them free Negroes? They were the Negroes of the land.
Exactly. So I respect everything everybody just said, and I'm agree with C3 just said. This is where black people try to use the slave master technique and be like, if they see us as the N-word, then you along with us. That's phenotyping. The science behind phenotyping is called biological racism. The science behind saying, well, if your skin is this and you're light, you come from that scientific racism. There are people attached to these ideologies who did not even go by this. So when these people come up here and tell you, well, okay, some of me may be from Africa, but the rest of me ain't. There's a high possibility that is true. They don't have to be. They don't even have to be North American Aboriginal. They probably can be Australian. They could probably be Caribbean. They probably could be from somewhere like Papua New Guinea. It's the fact is that no matter where you go to, before you get the label of a colonial, there's nothing but indigenous and aboriginals on this planet. That's it. No matter what shade it comes in. Once you start putting shades on shit, you're a black colonial and a white colonial to me, and you're helping the bullshit.
Yeah, especially, I think a lot of people do a disservice to humanity as a whole when they disregard the multiple migration patterns that's been going on for a long time, and also when they don't seem to actually acknowledge the different migration patterns that's been going on and how long that they've been happening. So it makes it a little harder to actually like go out for just phenotype and genotype, because people can be in certain regions for a long amount of time without their genotype and phenotype changing, especially if they're exiting a certain climate and entering into the same climate, and they not experiencing any admixture, things that people don't really actually get into. Like that's what happened with the people of the Andamanese and the Senegalese islands. They still look like black Africans to this day because they still was in the same environment and they still had the same diet, same UV radiation and all that. But you won't call them African today.
Let me tell you something that Americans are afraid of, and white people who identify as white know this. The more nationalities that pour into America, the more that they're going to get taken out. The race, I mean, worldwide, there are more nationalities on this planet than there are any person who goes by a race. The more that you keep flooding in, what you just talked about, we're living in a different real time, except the whole main goal was to turn America into either one nationality or a nationality hub. So with all these new people coming in and mixing and stuff like that, America's going to have to incorporate into nationalities. When you marry into nationalities, you don't bring race ideology with you because that has a lineage. So this is America's biggest fear. So they don't want you to know who you are as a person. They don't. Why? Because they need soldiers of war. Imagine if they go to war with these countries and you find out you're from these continents. You're not going to have an allegiance to America because you know who you are. That's the trick. So they need you to be of race. People who try to trick people into staying into race, I call it for what it is. You're a prejudice or a racist. Why do I need to join your race? Why do I need to be standing there with people who love struggling, but if I go home and need to pay a bill, I can't fucking call you? Race has no benefits.
I just want to address Seven real quick, because he said, why didn't we address people migrating 70,000 years ago? Because like I said, people have been migrating more than just 70,000 years ago. People like Seven believe that there was just one migration and that was it. You have this migration of the Hofmeyr skull, in which people that you find in Africa, Australia, Europe, and Asia all look the same.
Shit, I don't even mean to cut you off. When people say shit like that to me, I'll be like, "Wow, you Eurocentrically trying to play God." Anytime somebody asks me a question that leads to a scientist, I automatically know it's something Eurocentric because they got to be God and be right. So anytime somebody come at you with shit like that, you look at them dead in the soul, you talk to them back and be like, "Okay, so you believe whatever scientist you got that from is God, right?" Big Bang Theory, Eurocentric, they think that they're God. Anything that comes from the Western hemisphere of thinking, they're going to be God. There's no God attached. It either leads you back to their science, their math, and this is where the whole, once you pick a race to go by, your entitlement and egotism go out the fucking roof.
No,
Yeah,
bro, science is based in logic.
There's no lies. There's no lies being
Not
told.
Western science. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Look it up.
Western science can't be based in logic if everything that their greatest people say they got from somebody else. So everything they teach is a pseudoism.
One thing about Europeans, they cover all bases. So you got ones on the left and the right. They're always gonna say both things. They're not gonna just say, "Oh yeah, we all come from one way." No, they're gonna cover all bases. So all Europeans don't say the same thing. Is what I'm saying.
That's a fact, but at the same time, we ain't up here to talk about who, like, which Europeans say what. We're here to look at the overall.
I'm saying you dismissing science based on, you know what I'm saying? You saying it's Western. Now, if it's popular opinion, only thing we need to question is popular opinion. I ain't gonna say the only thing. We need to question everything, but that's that's what's on the plate. It's popular opinion.
What you mean popular? Listen, I'm not trying to get these people hooked on a popular anything that makes.
Obviously, you're not. That's why you dismissing Western science
when you're just learning stuff, because there's a science. Put it like this: people who had notion of self, who can leave this planet without even having to take their body off the ground, is where most modern science and stuff like that came from.
Now
so
we're going out there.
I would say this: you don't totally dismiss things, but don't totally rely on them as well.
Yeah. I respect that as well.
Don't believe nothing, but that don't mean dismiss everything.
But yeah, I want to address this because Seven is in the comments and he's not understanding what I've just brung forth. He said 70,000 years ago, and I brung up a migration that's even sooner than that. I can even bring up another migration. Hold on, but y'all can go on. Y'all can prolong, bro.
But these migrations, like, that's why I say science. Like, any person who copies somebody else and then creates their own version of something is a pseudoism. That means it don't originally fit the characters that it came from. So when I say westernized, I'm speaking like on a logical and factual. Anything westernized is not good for me unless I know how to bend it to how I want to. I'm not supposed to want to go out into society in America and be accepted. They created everything so I didn't want to feel accepted. So God told me, somebody of melanation, my only study is to come down here and watch man.
So Bobby, so when I speak on things like Mendel's law,
this is the oldest
European that Mendel
coming from Central Asia or Eurasian descent.
I know why
the
you
Gravitians.
Moors. Like, there's all different type of Moors. So no, I'm not gonna actually think the same thing you do, but I understand what you mean. When any person of any other background speaks to me, I automatically, like I said, I don't wear information as a suit. I wear it as a Hall of Notes. So when people start talking, all I do is go to the section of continent they come from, pull from that library, and start talking back to you in that sense. Life is nothing but a library. Each continent is nothing but a section you go from and learn all the way down to its roots. That's it. And then it'll just lead you back to here. So that's why I say you don't wear it as an identity. Like, you being Moorish, as soon as you start talking, I already know what your identity is because you wear it. The information is not something you keep and you travel the world with like Moors did. Moors was a group of different individuals. You had Native American Moors, Portuguese Moors, Spanish Moors. You had all kind of Moors. It was just galactic scholars of people who traveled this earth and actually knew more than the average person.
Yeah.
But I got to get back to this economics. Y'all doing great at the end of the day because we've been listening to like y'all somewhat in here. And like I said, just keep going with it. Just remember, like, each one of you are going to have different information. Just read the facts and bring them together. Everything going to always align no matter how you read it.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro. I appreciate you.
Greatness to y'all and all y'all love, too.
All right, greatness, bro.
Yes, sir.
I say you cannot put an origin on the Negroid person. I'm not saying Negro, Negroid, and Austral. You just can't put an origin on none of it.
Yeah, you really can't, because when a lot of people like, oh, the first Europeans was like, they don't get into it. I know a lot of people bring up Cheddar Man, but the Gravitians actually are older than Cheddar Man. They occupied Europe even before Cheddar Man occupied Europe. And I know some people do, because I don't, don't discredit people's knowledge, but that's just what it is. And a lot of people, they get into artistic portrayals, but once it comes to us, they like, oh, that's just an artistic portrayal. Okay, so we shouldn't go off of any artistic portrayal then. If you don't want to accept this one, don't accept any. So that's where I be coming from when I see a lot of people being hypocrites on here. So when they see things like this, they be like, oh, no, that can't be how they look. But when they see things that agree with their perspective, they're going with it, even though it's an artistic portrayal as well. So that's the things that I don't deal with. If you accept artistic portrayals, you have to accept them no matter who they are depicting.
Try to say it's Photoshop. These the same people who say they was Photoshop photos won't recognize a Photoshop photo if it slapped them in the face.
Yeah, a lot of people, they have to do more research to have a full understanding, and that's all right. But all we can do is actually bring the evidence to the forefront so people can actually see themselves what not only we are saying, but what science is saying, and which a lot of people go by. So if you go by science, don't pick and choose the science that you're going. That's why people got an issue with me now. I don't pick and choose what I'm going with. Like, whatever I see, that's what I'm going with, and that's what I'm explaining, and I'm going to get into it that way. I'm not going to be like, oh, just for an argument, try to make some shit up. You know what I'm saying? Or try to disagree with some shit. That's not what I'm doing. That's never what I've been here for. So we have to understand that. But yeah, you have the Gravitians, and after the Gravitians, or before them, you have Neanderthals. That article supports out of Africa. I never said it didn't. I never said this article didn't. Never said this article didn't. But I never also disregarded other articles that support other theories as well. So when you say things like that to me, like that to me, that means anything. That doesn't mean there's not other theories that support different points of views. Like, that's why I say, when you look up phylogenetic trees, Seven, if you know anything about that, please look up phylogenetic trees and how they said that they might have to redo them and redo phylogenetic trees. And I already brung up the supportive evidence when you look at L7, L7A, DO, AOO, with new haplogroups that they have found that said that they might have to redo the phylogenetic tree. And also, spell it, please. No, I can bring up the articles. I don't even have to spell anything. This shit is easy to me. This shit easy to me. And most of the time, I don't see people no more. I probably won't see you ever again.
Hey, Vance, let me say something to her real quick. Look, Seven. I know for a fact, like, this is just going according to what Bobby said. You don't even have power yourself to even comprehend what you're doing right now. You're going off what somebody else says, and you're waiting till somebody else provide more evidence without you even going to debunk it and figure out what's true and what's not yourself. You're reading an article and you just say, okay, this is true just because what the article says. I'm a type of individual that reads a book and I analyze it and I critique it, and I can refute the author with another source myself. You're not even refuting the one who even wrote the article. You're not even having the power to even debunk anything yourself. Know what I'm saying? To me, you're acting like a sheep down there. Like, for example, I told earlier, I don't know if you was here earlier, I spoke about the out of Australia theory. I talked about lands underneath the water where civilization could have sprung from as well. I talked about even out of European theory as well, because they found older skeletal remains that predates a lot of skeletal remains in Africa as well. I say
dealing with the hominin. Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, so you really can't sit up here and say out of African theory when you got, like, for example, the tertiary skull in Argentina. That one is dated up to 60,000 years, just because it's dated up to 10,000 years. I mean, not 10,000. 10 million years up to 60 million years. It's dated around. I mean, it's the estimation between that, because it was found in the tertiary strata. In the stratum. No one talks about that, and it's swept on the rug, and they verified it and say this is true. It got so decomposed, so materialized to the point of petrification that you can't even really pinpoint how old it is. They just says it's just found in this strata. They can't even give an age on how old that skull is today. So when they finding these fossil remains over here as well, that's up to more than 10 million years old, especially like the Guadalupe woman as well, they predates the out of Africa theory, which is only set to be up to what, 200,000 up to 1.3 million ago. years ago, then you have a problem when you find skeletal remains that predates even that. So what I'm saying is, like, you just can't talk about the out-of-Africa theory when you got all this other shit they bringing out right now. You know what I'm saying? You can't talk about that shit.
That's definitely true. And that's what I was only bringing up the phylogenetic tree so people could, understand that, because a lot of people wanted me to bring up supportive evidence. So, just you can look into this this study as well, which it shows how, due to reassessment and new sequencing, they found a new haplogroup and also a new singleton branch. So if we know everything about all the haplogroups and everything, why are they finding new haplogroups? And also in this study, they disclosed that they might have to redo the whole maternal phylogenetic tree, which is a big deal, but people don't get into. So like I said, I don't get in, like, bro. Once you study, you're supposed to understand what you're studying and then proceed on further, and not continue on to what you're doing if it doesn't really align with what you were originally saying and stating. That's okay to do. You're not switching up or nothing. It's just evidence being backed to help support different theories. Also, just because a lot of people don't understand the different migrations that have been going on, because they think that black people can't move around, even though they believe that black people were the first people to move around. And then also, not even including the Bantu expansion, not even migration, because they found out that the Bantu people migrated way before the expansion. So that's why they don't even call it the Bantu migration anymore. They call it the Bantu expansion, because people have always been moving around. So why in studies, if people have been reading like they say they do, why do they exclude migration? Why do they exclude admixture? It doesn't make sense. And I've been bringing these points up. But here's a particular point, like with prehistoric, a Western route of prehistoric human migration from Africa into the Iberian Peninsula.